Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we're looking at saving money.
Uh-huh.
This article called Top 5 Brilliant Tips for Money Saving.
Okay.
It says it can help us transform our financial habits.
Right.
And get this,
Mm.
it claims that just by tracking our expenses,
Mm-hmm.
we can actually save 20% more every month.
Wow.
Pretty amazing.
Right? Yeah, that is impressive.
So let's dive in and see what this is all about.
That's good.
Well, right off the bat, this article focuses on psychology.
Yeah.
It's not just about numbers.
Yeah.
It's about being more aware of,
Yeah.
our spending.
Exactly.
Like really understanding our habits.
Like shining a light on those daily money decisions we make.
Yeah. And that awareness can lead to real change.
I think so.
It's almost like holding up a mirror to how we spend,
I like that analogy.
And you might be surprised by what you see.
You probably would be, yeah.
The article suggests using apps or spreadsheets
Okay.
to make tracking easier. No more shoeboxes full of receipts.
Right.
Imagine all your expenses organized, categorized.
Yeah.
You get a clear picture of where your money's going.
Mm-hmm.
That clarity could definitely lead to better decisions, don't you think?
For sure. For sure.
And that's where the next tip comes in. Budgeting.
Okay, so how does the article approach that?
Well, I know the word budget can be kind of scary for some people,
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
but this article presents it as something that empowers you,
Interesting.
not something that restricts you.
Mm.
They talk about this 50-30-20 rule.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
You know that one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Basically, you allocate 50% of your income to needs,
Right.
30% to wants the fun stuff,
Okay.
and 20% to savings and paying off debts.
Gotcha.
What do you think of that rule?
I think it's a good starting point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a framework,
It's like a roadmap, right?
Exactly. A
Mhm.
roadmap to help balance enjoying life now
Mhm.
and also planning for the future. That's really the key, isn't it?
It is. It is. I remember when I was saving up for that trip to
Oh, yeah.
Italy a few years back.
Nice.
Had to make some sacrifices, cut back in other areas.
Yeah.
But the feeling when I finally booked those flights,
Yeah.
it was pure joy.
That's awesome.
That's the power of budgeting,
Totally. Helps you prioritize,
That's your
achieve the things you really want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And once you have that budget set up,
Yeah.
what's next?
It's time to tackle unnecessary spending.
Okay, I like that. It's
Yeah.
like decluttering your finances.
Exactly. Like getting rid of the stuff you don't need.
Right.
And this article suggests starting with easy things,
Like what?
like unused subscriptions.
Oh, yeah,
You'd be surprised how many people pay for stuff they barely use.
it's true.
In fact, the article says that
Mhm.
canceling forgotten subscriptions could save you
Wait, how much?
an average of $200 per year.
No kidding.
That's significant.
It is.
It's easy to forget about those little recurring charges. Mm-hmm.
But they add up.
They do.
The article also talks about cooking at home more often.
Oh, good point.
They estimate a family could save around $200 per month
Wow.
by swapping some restaurant meals for home-cooked ones.
That makes sense.
It's interesting, though,
What is?
that balance between convenience
Uh-huh.
and saving money.
Yeah, sometimes those convenient choices can really hurt our savings goals
They can.
without us even realizing it, right?
Without us even realizing it.
Finding that sweet spot is key.
It is.
Enjoying some conveniences, but not completely derailing your progress.
Mhm.
It's all about being mindful
Absolutely.
about your spending.
Now, the article also stresses the importance of setting savings goals.
Okay.
They recommend using the SMART criteria
Right.
to make those goals,
Yeah.
specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
I've heard of that, but could you break that down a little bit?
I know, I used to set these vague goals like save more money.
Yeah, me too.
But the SMART framework really helps you. Break it down into concrete steps.
Makes sense?
It's like having a destination in mind,
Oh, I like that.
Imagine planning a road trip. You wouldn't just hop in the car and start driving, would you?
No way.
You'd have a place you want to go,
Of course.
a map to guide you, a timeline for the trip.
Exactly.
SMART criteria does the same thing for your money goals.
So it's about turning those vague desires into a real plan.
Yes, with milestones and deadlines.
That's much more motivating than just wishing for a better financial future.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of motivation, the final tip is all about automating your savings.
Okay, tell me about that one.
This one seems like a real game changer.
I'm listening. Automating your savings is like Setting it and forgetting it.
Yeah.
It takes the guesswork and the willpower out of saving.
Right.
You set up these automatic transfers from your checking to your savings account,
Yep.
and boom, your money's tucked away.
Before you even have a chance to spend it.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
It's a great system.
And it really works. The article says that people who do this,
Yeah.
they're actually 29% more likely to reach their savings goals.
Wow. That's a big difference.
It's like a secret weapon for your finances.
I like it.
The key here is consistency.
Absolutely. Consistency is key.
Automating ensures you're always contributing to your goals, no matter how busy things get.
Exactly.
The article also talks about this pay yourself first mentality.
Right. I love that concept.
Me too. It's like shifting your mindset.
Yeah.
Instead of saving what's left over, you prioritize your financial well-being from the start.
You're making a statement
Yeah.
that your future self is important.
Like say, hey, future me, you deserve a piece of this.
I love that.
But how do we actually put all these tips into action?
Well, let's look back at some of the examples from the article. Remember that first tip about tracking expenses? The article shows how that simple step can reveal spending patterns you might not even notice.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine finding out you spend a ton on takeout coffee each month.
Ooh, yeah.
That could inspire you to start brewing your own at home,
Right.
potentially saving you hundreds of dollars a year.
It's crazy how those little everyday expenses can really add up.
They sneak up on you.
They do.
And that's where that 50-30-20 budget rule comes in handy.
Right.
By tracking your spending,
Right.
you can see where you might be overspending
Yeah.
and then move that money around
Okay.
to your needs, your wants, your savings goals.
It's all about being intentional with your money, right?
Exactly. Aligning your spending with your values.
Yeah.
The article talks about putting needs before wants, especially when you're working towards a big financial goal.
Like what?
Let's say you're saving for a down payment on a house.
Okay.
You might decide to cut back on dining out
Yeah.
or entertainment for a while
Makes sense.
to reach that goal faster.
That's a great example of tailoring these tips to your own situation.
It's about what works for you.
And the article also gives practical advice for cutting unnecessary spending, like those unused subscriptions we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's time to do a subscription audit.
I like that. A subscription.
Like get rid of the services you're not using.
It's like spring cleaning for your finances.
Exactly. And the article suggests other things too.
Like what?
Exploring alternatives to dining out, like meal prepping
Okay.
or having potlucks with friends.
Potlucks are great.
They are. You save money and get to spend time with people you care about.
It's a win-win.
It is. Now let's talk about setting those savings goals.
All right, let's do it.
The article really recommends the SMART criteria.
Yeah, to make those goals specific and attainable.
It helps turn those vague wishes into a plan you can actually act on.
Right?
Remember that road trip analogy?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just saying, I want to save more, a SMART goal would be something like, I want to save $5,000 for a down payment on a car in the next 2 years.
Okay, I see the difference.
It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable.
Right, it has a timeline.
Exactly.
It sets you up for success.
And breaking a big goal into smaller steps can make it feel less overwhelming.
That's true.
Now, about automating those savings,
Uh-huh.
it's like a superpower for building financial discipline.
It really is.
It takes the emotion out of it and makes saving a regular habit.
Like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. The article highlights how automatic transfers
Yeah.
can make saving seamless, part of your routine.
You don't even have to think about it.
You don't. But what about those unexpected expenses?
Oh, that's a good point.
The things that can throw off our savings plans.
Yeah.
How do we handle those?
Well, that's where having an emergency fund is so important.
Okay.
The article stresses having a financial safety net for things like medical bills, car repairs,
Yeah. Having that cushion can prevent you from dipping into your savings.
or going into debt.
Exactly. It's like a shock absorber for your finances.
I like that.
Protect you from those bumps in the road.
Good analogy.
Speaking of protecting your finances,
Yeah.
the article mentions reviewing your insurance policies.
Oh, good point.
It's important to make sure you have the right coverage
Absolutely.
and to shop around for better rates.
You could save some money that way.
It's like giving your finances a checkup.
I like that, a financial checkup.
I know we've covered a lot here.
We have.
It might seem a bit overwhelming,
It could, yeah.
but these tips are meant to empower you, not overwhelm you.
That's important to remember.
Find what works best for you.
Right.
You don't have to do everything at once.
Start small
Yeah, pick one or two things that resonate with you.
and build from there.
That's great advice.
Thanks.
And the article also says it's important to celebrate your progress.
Oh, absolutely.
Those little wins can keep you motivated.
They really can.
Why do you think that's so important?
Celebrating those milestones
Mm-hmm.
creates a positive feedback loop,
Okay.
reinforces good habits,
Yeah.
makes the whole journey more enjoyable.
Like giving yourself a pat on the back for all the hard work.
Exactly.
I love that. It's about appreciating how far you've come.
It is.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a question to think about.
All right, shoot.
If you could achieve one financial goal in the next 6 months, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
And how could these tips help you get there?
That's a great question to ponder. Take some time to think about it.
Yeah.
What do you really want to achieve?
Picture yourself reaching that goal.
Yes.
And then think about how these tips can help you make it happen.
Because they can. They really can.
Remember, every journey starts with a single step.
That's right.
Don't be afraid to start small
Yeah.
and build momentum over time.
One step at a time.
And be kind to yourself along the way.
Absolutely. That's so important.
Financial well-being is a journey, not a destination.
I love that.
It's about progress, not perfection.
So true.
We're here to support you every step of the way.
We are.
And be sure to check out the full article in our show notes
Yeah, lots of great information in there.
for even more tips and strategies.
It's worth the read.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into saving money.
It was my pleasure.
We'll be back next week
Looking forward to it.
with a brand new deep dive
Okay.
and a fresh perspective on a topic you'll definitely want to hear about.
Can't wait.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing,
Yeah.
and keep striving for that brighter financial future.
Absolutely.
See you next time on The Deep Dive.
It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah, enjoying life, but also making progress towards our goals.
You don't have to deprive yourself.
No, not at all.
The article talks about creating a budget that allows for both
Okay,
guilt-free spending and a consistent saving.
that sounds like the idea.
It's about making choices that match your values.
Yeah,
If travel is a big thing for you, for instance,
okay,
you might set aside some of your wants money for trips.
makes sense.
The key is to be deliberate with your spending.
Spend on what matters.
Exactly.
Create a lifestyle that supports both your happiness now
Yeah,
and your security in the future.
that's the goal, right?
It is, it is.
Huh.
Before we finish up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to go back to something we talked about earlier.
What's that?
Celebrating your progress.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that's so crucial?
Well, I think celebrating those wins, no matter how small, it creates this positive cycle.
Interesting.
It reinforces those good financial habits
Okay.
and makes the whole process more enjoyable.
I see what you mean.
It's like, rewarding yourself for all the effort you're putting in.
Like a little pat on the back.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this episode,
Yes.
I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. If you could achieve one financial goal in the next 6 months, what would it be?
That's a good one.
And how would these tips we talked about help you get there?
Take a minute, everyone.
Yeah.
Think about your dreams. Really picture yourself achieving that goal.
Okay.
And then consider
Yeah.
how could these tips be your tools to make that happen?
Every journey starts with a single step, right?
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to start small.
You got this.
Build up that momentum over time.
One day at a time.
And be kind to yourself throughout the process.
So important.
Remember, financial well-being,
Yeah.
it's a journey, not a destination.
Well said.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Couldn't agree more.
We're here to support you every step of the way.
We are.
And don't forget to check out the full article in our show notes
Lots of good stuff in there.
for even more great tips and strategies.
It's worth a read.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into saving money.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back next week with a brand new deep dive
Awesome.
on a topic you won't want to miss.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep learning,
Keep learning.
keep growing,
Keep growing.
and keep striving for a brighter financial future.
Absolutely.
See you next time on The Deep Dive.